Imagine a workplace where your waistline is a legal tax liability or where refusing to smile at a customer is a municipal crime. Most professional lives are governed by boring manuals. But in certain corners of the globe, the rules are bordering on psychological warfare. We are breaking down 50 of the most absurd, hilarious, and strictly enforced workplace laws from every continent. This is a journey through the absolute madness of global labor markets and the bizarre rules that keep them running. 1. In Japan, being too big for your britches isn't just a metaphor, it's a legal liability. Since 2008, the Metabo law mandates that companies and local governments must measure the waistlines of employees aged 40 to 74 during their annual checkups. If you exceed the government-mandated limit, about 33.5 inches for men, your company could face stiff financial penalties. Imagine your promotion being held hostage by a donut. It turns HR into a literal fashion police with measuring tapes, proving that in the Japanese corporate world, your BMI is a key performance indicator. 2. Sweden has some of the strictest animal welfare laws on the planet, and they follow you straight into the office. By law, dogs cannot be left alone in a house for more than 6 hours. This means Swedish employers are often legally or culturally compelled to allow dog breaks, or let employees bring their pets into the workplace. If you work in a Stockholm tech startup, your cube mate might be a golden retriever who has more legal rights to a midday walk than most workers in other countries have to a bathroom break. It turns bring your dog to work day from a fun perk into a mandatory compliance issue. 3. Some companies in China have taken the concept of proof of illness to a terrifyingly modern level. Employees are sometimes required to send a live location selfie from their bed or a hospital waiting room to prove they aren't actually at the beach. In a world of Photoshop and AI filters, a simple doctor's note isn't enough. Your boss wants to see your pale, miserable face in real time. It's a level of digital stalking that turns your bedroom into a satellite office the moment your temperature hits 101. Seriously, does your boss deserve to see you in your pajamas just to prove you have a fever? Or is that a line we should never cross? 4. France takes its gastronomy so seriously that, until very recently, it was actually illegal for employees to eat lunch at their desks. The French labor code strictly forbade taking meals in the work premises to ensure workers actually took a proper break and socialized. While the rule was temporarily relaxed during the pandemic, the cultural DNA remains. The sad desk salad is seen not as a sign of dedication, but as a tragic failure of lifestyle. It's perhaps the only place where being a workaholic is a literal crime against lunch. 5. In the high-fashion boutiques of Milan, some managers enforce a no-water rule on the sales floor to maintain an immaculate luxury image. Employees are forbidden from carrying water bottles or drinking in public view, forced instead to request formal breaks just for a sip of water in the back room. It's a rule that prioritizes the store's aesthetic over basic human hydration. It turns a simple biological need into a logistical hurdle, also a billionaire doesn't have to see a plastic bottle while shopping for shoes. 6. In the United Kingdom, London taxi drivers are technically required by an ancient, unrepealed law to carry a bale of hay and a bag of oats in their trunk at all times. This was intended to feed the horse, obviously, while modern black cab drivers aren't getting arrested for lacking livestock supplies. The rule technically remains on the books. It's a hilarious reminder that the law often moves at the speed of a horse-drawn carriage while the rest of us are trying to navigate the digital age. 7. While not a nationwide rule in the modern sense, some smaller towns in Spain, like Ecuador, have actually codified the siesta into local law. Between 2 p.m. and 5 p.m., the mayor mandates silence. No loud music, no construction, and definitely no stressful business meetings. Everything shuts down so the workforce can recharge. It's a government-mandated nap time that makes the American hustle culture look like a collective fever dream. Why do we celebrate grinding when we could be celebrating a legally protected afternoon snooze? 8. If you're working in the United Arab Emirates, you'd better keep your inner sailor in check. Swearing in the workplace or even using a rude gesture in a professional email or WhatsApp group is a criminal offense. It can lead to massive fines, deportation, or even jail time. In the West, dropping an F-bomb might get you a stern look from HR. In Dubai, it might get you a one-way ticket out of the country. It certainly gives a whole new meaning to the phrase professional communication. 9. Belgium has a rule that actually pays you to stay healthy. Employers can offer a tax-free bicycle allowance for every kilometer you commute to work on 2 wheels. You're essentially getting a government-sanctioned raise for avoiding the subway and building your quads. It's a rare example of a workplace rule that doesn't feel like a leash, but rather a bribe to keep you from becoming a sedentary office drone. Would a few extra dollars per mile be enough to make you ditch your car for a bike? 10. In Sweden, fika is more than a coffee break. In many offices, it's a non-negotiable social contract. It's a scheduled time twice a day where everyone, from the CEO to the intern, must stop working, sit down together, and have coffee and a pastry. Skipping fika to get ahead is often viewed as suspicious or even rude. It's the ultimate antidote to corporate isolation, forcing human connection through the power of caffeine and cinnamon buns. 11. In the high-pressure tech hubs of China, napping at your desk isn't seen as laziness. It's practically a job requirement. During the infamous 9-1-96 work culture, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. 6 days a week, companies actually encourage employees to bring pillows and folding beds into the office. Between 1 p.m. and 2 p.m., the lights go out, the keyboards go silent, and the entire floor turns into a giant corporate slumber party. It's a surreal sight. Hundreds of software engineers dreaming of code while their managers sleep just a few feet away. It's a survival mechanism disguised as a perk, proving that if you're going to work your life away, the company will at least provide the mattress. 12. Portugal decided that the always-on culture was a literal health hazard, so they passed a law that makes it illegal for your boss to text or email you after hours. If your manager pings you on a Saturday to ask about a quick update, the company can be slapped with a heavy fine. It treats your free time as a sacred, legally protected zone. This turns every post-work notification into a potential lawsuit, making it one of the few places on Earth where ghosting your boss isn't just satisfying. It's your civic duty. 13. In Norway, salary secrecy is basically non-existent because everyone's income and tax returns are a matter of public record. You can literally hop online and look up exactly what your boss, your neighbor, or your annoying coworker earns. While this transparency is designed to ensure pay equity and prevent corruption, it turns every office coffee break into a silent game of mental math. Is the awkwardness of everyone knowing your bank balance worth the guarantee that you aren't being underpaid compared to the guy in the next cubicle? Or is some information better left in a locked drawer? 14. If you're a fan of a casual Friday, stay away from certain high-end law firms in the City of London. There exists a strictly enforced, albeit unwritten, Brown in Town rule. It dictates that a gentleman should never wear brown shoes with a suit in the city. Only black is acceptable for serious business. Wearing brown shoes is seen as a sign that you're a country bumpkin who doesn't understand the gravitas of high finance. It's a level of sartorial snobbery that proves even in the 21st century, your career trajectory can still be derailed by the color of your footwear. 15. Japan has a social rule with the weight of law, omiyage. If you take a vacation, you are culturally obligated to bring back local, beautifully wrapped snacks for your entire department. These must be famous delicacies from the specific region you visited. Forget the souvenir tax, and you're seen as selfish and disrespectful. It turns every relaxing holiday into a high-pressure grocery mission where you're terrified of forgetting the specific rice crackers that keep your manager from hating you. 16. In India, any industrial establishment with more than 100 employees is subject to the Industrial Employment Standing Orders Act. This requires employers to formally define the exact conditions of employment, including very specific rules on misconduct. In some cases, this has led to bizarrely detailed regulations about the length of a worker's hair or the specific style of their uniform. It creates a bureaucratic labyrinth where a stray lock of hair isn't just a style choice, it's a violation of a government-mandated standing order. It's the ultimate form of standardized labor, where your very appearance is a legal filing. 17. Italy set a global precedent that might give your HR manager a heart attack. Paid leave for sick pets. A Rome court ruled an employee was entitled to paid time off to care for her ill dog, arguing the animal's health was a significant family matter. The court decided a dog isn't property, but a dependent family member. It's the ultimate good boy law, making Italy a paradise for pet owners and a nightmare for bosses who think family leave should only apply to humans. 18. Brazil has a system that makes a simple HR file look like a high-security clearance. Every worker has a carteira de trabalho, a physical blue booklet that records every single job they've ever had, their salary history, and their vacation dates. Employers are legally required to sign and update this book within 48 hours of hiring someone. Without this little blue book, you essentially don't exist in the eyes of the labor ministry. It's a nostalgic, paper-based relic in a digital world, making your entire professional identity feel like a passport that needs constant stamping. 19. France's labor laws are famous for being employee-friendly, but one specific rule in the French labor code is a masterpiece of cultural preservation. It strictly forbids alcohol in the workplace, with 4 very specific exceptions: wine, beer, cider, and perry. That's right, your boss can't have a bottle of scotch in the desk, but a glass of Chardonnay in the company canteen is perfectly legal and culturally expected. It's a law that recognizes that while work is important, it shouldn't stand in the way of a good vintage. If your office offered a selection of legal midday drinks, would your productivity soar? Or would your afternoon emails become a lot more creative? 20. In South Korea, the resume photo turns hiring into a literal beauty pageant. Unlike the West, where photos are often avoided, Korean employers expect a high-quality headshot. This has birthed photoplastic surgery, where photographers use extreme Photoshop to sharpen jawlines so candidates meet the professional aesthetic. It's a system where your Excel skills are secondary to how well your face fits the brand. If your resume needs a filter to get a call back, is the company hiring a worker or a model? 21. If you've ever visited a Disney theme park, you might have noticed something strange about how the cast members, point. They never use one finger. It's always 2 fingers or the whole hand. This isn't just a quirk. It's a strictly enforced corporate rule known as the Disney point. In some cultures, pointing with one finger is considered incredibly rude, and Disney, in its quest for global politeness, banned it entirely. It's a fascinating example of how a private company can reprogram your basic motor skills to protect the brand's magic. If you worked there for a decade, would you eventually find yourself pointing at a grocery store steak with 2 fingers like a weird corporate magician? 22. In the city of Mulanay in the Philippines, service with a smile isn't a suggestion, it's a municipal ordinance. The mayor implemented a smile policy for government employees to combat the soul-crushing bureaucracy often found in public service. If you're caught grumbling or looking particularly miserable while processing a permit, you could be fined or even suspended. It's a fascinating attempt to legislate happiness, essentially forcing employees to mask their existential dread with a mandatory grin. Talk about a fake-it-till-you-make-it career path. 23. Australia has a tax rule that effectively ruins the office pizza party. It's called the fringe benefits tax. Basically, if an employer provides entertainment like food and drinks to employees on the business premises, it can be taxed at a whopping 47%. However, if the food is light refreshment consumed while working, it might be exempt. This leads to a bizarre corporate dance where managers have to prove everyone was actually typing while eating their pepperoni slice to avoid a massive tax bill. It turns a thank you lunch into a high-stakes audit of exactly how many napkins were used. 24. In 2022, Spain passed a law that turned every office into a literal sweatshop during the summer. To save energy, the government mandated that air conditioning in workplaces cannot be set lower than 27 degrees Celsius. That's about 80 degrees Fahrenheit. If you've ever tried to be innovative and synergetic while a bead of sweat slowly rolls down your spine, you know how insane this is. It's a rule that prioritizes the power grid over the sanity of anyone wearing a tie. At what point does saving the planet just become punishing the people who pay for it? 25. Walk into any high-tech server room or office in Taiwan, and you'll likely see bags of green kwai kwai corn snacks sitting on top of the machinery. This isn't for the staff, it's for the computers. There is a deeply held corporate superstition that the green bags, representing a green go light, keep the machines running without errors. The rule is simple: you never ever eat the snack, and you definitely never use the yellow or red bags, as they signal a malfunction. It's a beautiful mix of 21st century technology and ancient-style offerings to the silicon gods. 26. South Korea has a long-standing tradition called husik, which is essentially mandatory after-work drinking with your boss and colleagues. While not a written law, skipping it can be a career-ending move. You are expected to stay out late, drink heavily, and never leave before the most senior person at the table. It's a culture that blurs the line between team building and liver damage, often resulting in a workforce that shows up the next morning smelling like a brewery, but acting like nothing happened. Would you take a 10% pay cut if it meant never having to drink with your boss again? 27. In many retail environments across the United States, there is a no-sitting rule that feels like it was designed by a Victorian-era headmaster. Even if there are 0 customers in the store and your tasks are finished, you are legally required to stand for your entire shift. Managers view sitting as a sign of low energy or unprofessionalism, leading to millions of workers developing chronic back pain just to maintain the illusion of being busy. It's a war against the chair that serves no purpose other than to remind the employee who is in charge of their hamstrings. 28. In certain professional environments in the Middle East and parts of West Africa, using your left hand for any business transaction is a massive no-no. Passing a business card, signing a contract, or handing over a check must be done exclusively with the right hand. The left hand is traditionally reserved for personal hygiene, and using it in a professional setting is seen as a profound insult. It's a rule that forces left-handed expats to become ambidextrous overnight just to avoid accidentally tanking a multi-million-dollar deal with a handshake. Is a chair a luxury, or should the right to sit be a fundamental human right? 29. Japan has a concept called inamuri, which is the practice of sleeping while present. In many Japanese offices, if you fall asleep at your desk, your boss might actually be impressed. It's seen as a sign that you have worked yourself to the point of total exhaustion for the company. There are even unspoken rules about how to do it. You must remain upright and look like you just collapsed from sheer dedication. It's the only place on Earth where a mid-afternoon drool session on your keyboard is considered a badge of honor rather than a reason for a performance review. 30. In the world of high-stakes logistics, think Amazon warehouses or long-haul trucking, the rule of the GPS bathroom break is becoming a grim reality. Some companies use wearable devices or apps that track exactly where a worker is at every second. If you deviate from your optimized route to go to the restroom, the system flags it as time-off task. This has led to the infamous and truly depressing reports of workers carrying pee bottles to avoid the wrath of the algorithm. It's a rule that replaces human biology with mathematical efficiency, proving that in the modern economy, your bladder is just another data point to be optimized. 31. In 2017, the Philippines became the first country in Asia to officially ban employers from forcing female workers to wear high heels. If you've ever walked a mile in someone else's shoes, imagine doing an 8-hour retail shift in 4-inch stilettos. The law explicitly states that footwear must be practical and comfortable, and that companies can no longer require heels for aesthetic reasons. It's a rare win for podiatry over corporate vanity, finally acknowledging that a salesperson's ability to sell a refrigerator doesn't actually depend on the steepness of their foot arch. 32. Every morning at 6:30 a.m., millions of Japanese workers participate in Ragio Taiso, or radio calisthenics. This isn't just a quirky school activity. Many construction sites, factories, and even traditional offices broadcast the music over loudspeakers. And everyone, from the site foreman to the junior clerk, performs the exact same rhythmic stretches in unison. It's a surreal, synchronized display of collective discipline that looks like a flash mob but feels like a cult of flexibility. Does your morning routine involve a triple espresso? Or could you handle 3 minutes of rhythmic arm swinging with your CEO every single day? 33. If you've ever worked in a windowless cubicle that felt like a high-tech dungeon, you'll appreciate German labor law. It is technically illegal in Germany to build an office without a view of the outside world. Workers have a legal right to natural light and a line of sight to the sky. It sounds humane until you realize it means managers can't just tuck the problem children in a dark basement. Does your current office setup feel like a prison? Or do you actually get to see the sun once in a while? 34. In Finland, the most important business decisions aren't made in a sterile boardroom. They're made in a sauna. It is a deep-seated cultural rule that if you are invited to a sauna meeting, you go. And yes, usually everyone is completely naked. In Finnish culture, being naked with your business partners is seen as the ultimate form of transparency. It's remarkably hard to hide a secret agenda when you literally don't have any pockets. It's the ultimate vulnerability exercise designed to build total trust. Would you be willing to strip down to your birthday suit to close a deal? Or is that a hard pass for your professional boundaries? 35. The Netherlands has a sick leave law that sounds like a dream for anyone with a chronic condition. Employers are legally required to pay sick employees at least 70% of their salary for up to 2 full years. Not 2 weeks, not 2 months, 2 years. During this time, the company also has a reintegration duty, meaning they have to work with you to find a role you can do. It makes the 1 week of unpaid leave found in many other countries look like a medieval punishment. It's a system built on the idea that a human being is an investment, not a disposable battery. 36. While the rest of the world is experimenting with 4-day work weeks, Greece recently decided to go in the complete opposite direction. In 2024, they introduced a law allowing certain industries to implement a 6-day work week to combat labor shortages. Employees get a 40% pay bump for that 6th day, but it's a shocking reversal of a century of labor progress. It's a desperate attempt to fix the economy by essentially telling the workforce, enjoy your Sunday, because that's all the free time you're getting. 37. In China, filial piety isn't just a moral suggestion, it's a legal requirement. The protection of the rights and interests of the elderly law mandates that adult children must visit their parents frequently, and companies are legally required to provide home leave for this purpose. If you don't visit your aging parents, they can actually sue you, and your employer could be caught in the legal crossfire if they refuse to give you the time off. It's a fascinating case of a government trying to legislate family values into a corporate contract, proving that your boss isn't the only one who can demand your time. 38. Imagine getting a whole extra month's pay every December, mandated by the national constitution. In Brazil, the 13th salary is a legal right for every employee. Employers must pay a Christmas bonus equal to 1 month's salary, usually in 2 installments. It's a massive government-mandated injection of cash into the economy, and a rule that makes the standard office pizza party look like a total insult. It's probably the only law in the world that makes the HR department actually feel like Santa's workshop. 39. France was the global pioneer of the right to disconnect law, which forbids companies with more than 50 employees from pressuring staff to check emails or answer calls after hours. The law recognizes that digital leashes lead to burnout and gives workers the legal standing to ignore a midnight urgent message without fear of being fired. It's a rule designed to protect the human brain from the 24/7 grind of the smartphone era. Does the right to disconnect sound like freedom to you? Or are you so addicted to your inbox that the thought of a silent phone gives you genuine anxiety? 40. In Germany, the privacy of the employee is treated as a sacred right. There is a strict legal ban on most forms of workplace surveillance. Employers are generally forbidden from using keyloggers, hidden cameras, or even GPS tracking on company cars unless there is a specific, documented suspicion of a serious crime. You aren't just a human resource to be monitored. You are a citizen with a right to privacy, even when you're on the clock. It's a world where the eye in the sky is legally blinded, giving workers a level of autonomy that is becoming vanishingly rare in our data-obsessed modern economy. 41. In Japan, some companies host ruikatsu, or tear-seeking sessions, where they actually hire handsome weeping boys to lead the office in a group sob. After watching heart-wrenching videos, the professional crier walks around and gently wipes away your tears with a silk handkerchief. The idea is that communal crying breaks down rigid hierarchies and builds emotional bonds. It's a bizarre form of emotional micromanagement that turns the office into a literal cry zone. If you can't squeeze out a tear, do you get a performance warning for being too emotionally stable? 42. Tech firms in Shenzhen, China, have taken bathroom breaks to a dystopian level by installing smart toilet seats. These sensors track exactly how long you're in the stall and send a real-time alert to your manager if you exceed 10 minutes. It's a digital invasion of the one place you'd expect privacy, transforming a biological necessity into a race against a stopwatch. This turns every restroom visit into a high-stakes data point for the company's efficiency algorithm. Honestly, who knew your digestive speed would eventually become a key performance indicator? 43. Joining the Vatican's Swiss Guard depends less on your resume and more on your height. To apply, you must be a single, Catholic Swiss male at least 5 foot 8 inches tall. It's a job description that hasn't changed in over 500 years. You're joining a 16th century military brotherhood that doubles as a high-stakes tourist attraction. Does being an inch too short really make you worse at wielding a halberd? Or is the Pope just a stickler for a uniform silhouette? 44. A major airline in India once enforced a strict weight and appearance policy that treated cabin crew like runway models rather than safety professionals. Flight attendants were grounded or fired if their BMI strayed outside a tiny, aesthetically pleasing range. The airline tried to justify it as a fuel-saving measure, but the courts eventually called out the obvious discrimination. It's a staggering example of corporate vanity masquerading as operational efficiency, where your ability to handle a mid-air emergency was deemed less important than your waistline. 45. Switzerland's intense animal dignity laws mean that social animals like goldfish or guinea pigs cannot legally be kept alone. If an office or pet shop is caught with a single, lonely fish, they can be fined for animal cruelty. While it's incredibly humane, it creates a surreal legal reality where the lobby fish have more government-protected social rights than many human workers in other countries. In Switzerland, every goldfish needs a buddy, proving that even at the bottom of the food chain, the law ensures you have someone to talk to. 46. In many U.S. states, at-will employment laws mean your boss can fire you for nearly any non-discriminatory reason, or no reason at all. This has led to people losing their jobs for having the wrong political bumper sticker, or even for failing to like the CEO's vacation photos on social media. It creates a landscape where your career is basically a hostage to your manager's personal whims and petty grievances. Does that feel like a fair, at-will agreement? Or does it sound more like a sophisticated form of corporate serfdom? 47. At an elite luxury hotel in London, staff were strictly forbidden from making eye contact with certain high-profile guests. Employees were instructed to look at the floor or a wall whenever the VVIP walked by, essentially turning the workforce into invisible ghosts. This rule was designed to inflate the guest's ego by ensuring they never had to acknowledge the humanity of the people serving them. It's a chilling reminder that in the world of ultra-luxury, the highest standard of service is sometimes total self-erasure. 48. Mexico's NOM 035 law makes employers legally responsible for the psychosocial risks and stress levels of their workers. If an environment is deemed toxic or causes anxiety, the company faces heavy fines. This has led to desperate managers forcing mandatory fun sessions and happiness workshops just to satisfy government inspectors. It's a fascinating attempt to legislate mental health, but can a boss really cure your stress? Or does the threat of a federal audit just create a new kind of workplace panic? 49. In many traditional South Korean companies, the hierarchy is so rigid that you don't even use your colleagues' names. Instead, you address them by their specific rank followed by a suffix. Imagine calling your coworker Senior Manager Second Class Jones every time you want a stapler. This creates a linguistic minefield where a single slip-up can be seen as a declaration of war. Some modern startups are trying to disrupt this by forcing everyone to use English names like Steve or Alice to level the playing field, leading to middle-aged executives desperately trying to figure out if they look more like a Brad or a Chad. All right, we've navigated 49 circles of corporate absurdity, and only one remains. But before we unveil our final exhibit, it's time for the final verdict. In our opinion, the award for the single most unbelievably dumb rule from today's list goes to the Japanese Ruikatsu crying sessions. Simply because it takes the most private human emotion and turns it into a choreographed corporate event. It's the ultimate example of a company trying to manage your time and your tears. Do you agree with our verdict, or did the smart toilet deserve this honor? Let us know in the comments. And now, our final number. 50. At a government office in South Africa, a high-ranking official once instituted a no-whistling policy because he was convinced it was a secret code used to warn employees of his arrival. His paranoia was so deep that he banned a harmless habit to prevent people from gossiping about him. It's the perfect final example of how workplace rules aren't always about productivity. Sometimes they're just a reflection of the deep insecurities of the person at the top. We've just toured a global gallery of corporate insanity where your waistline, your smile, and even your tears are essentially company property. These rules prove that the modern workplace isn't just about productivity. It's a performance staged for people with far too much power and far too little common sense. It's a strange, fragile boundary between a professional career and a psychological experiment. If you could permanently delete one single rule from your own job tomorrow, which one would go first? Tell us your secret rebellion in the comments, hit subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.